This is Starting Point, a podcast that tracks Guyana's unprecedented growth from all vantage points. Join your hosts, Kiana Wilberg and Fariza Hanif, as they dive deep into the heart of topical issues.
Welcome to this week's episode of Starting Point. I am your host, Kiana Wilberg. With the 2025 general and regional elections just mere days away, we here at Starting Point are engaging some of the fresh faces who are eager to share the ways in which they hope to make a difference in this country's development. In so doing, I have in studio today a consummate educator who has dedicated 22 years of her life to this profession. I am privileged and honored to welcome Ms. Miscka White, Principal for the Elementary and Special Education Departments at School of the Nations. Ms. White, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for the invitation, Kiana. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, Ms. White,
Mischka, please.
Sure. Thank you so much. Now, with education, sometimes you hear the typical story of how I got involved. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, and so I wanted to follow in their footsteps. Was it that typical roadway for you?
No, it was not.
Tell us about
Education
it.
wasn't even a thought for me. My first choice was to be a lawyer. That changed. I remember leaving the law department and going to admissions and saying, what can I do with these CXC grades? And the young lady said, oh, you'll do well at history. So I said, history it is. I loved the subject. I did it at both Cape and CSEC. So history was my choice. And I did that with a minor in international relations with the hope of saying foreign affairs. I can serve my country working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Fast forward to graduation, continuing on to postgrad, looking at postgrad in international development. And one of my friends who was a teacher said, Roses needs a teacher. You're not doing anything, come on over. And
That's
the
your
rest
alma
is
mater.
history. Yes.
Lovely,
So,
wonderful.
To St. Roses I went.
Uh-huh.
My headmaster at that point was the headmaster who I left.
Wow.
So it was comforting going home and starting my teaching career at St. Roses High.
And you stayed there, as I noted in my introduction, 22 years.
Not at St. Roses.
Not at St. Roses.
But in education, yes.
And so, what was the moment for you that made you realize this is it for me? This is what gives me this sense of purpose, and it's education I will stay with.
That moment came actually in my second year at St. Roses with some boys who were very boyish, lovely and mischievous.
As boys like
As
usually
boys
are.
would be, and most teachers really didn't like them. And somehow we clicked. And when those boys passed all their subjects, and they passed my subjects with grades 1, and they said, you did this. That at that moment was my cue. You really should make this a career. And I also had students who were coming saying, we are coming to you next year. And I did not know them because at that point I'm looking at upper high school. So the ones in first, second, and third form, it's a face, but you don't really know them. But the fact that they knew me and they heard that I am approachable and friendly and you're going to like Miss White and go into her class, you're going to do well. She's going to work you, but you're going to do really well. And the fact that they were coming to say they would like to be a part of my class, I said, it has to be that I'm doing something right. That teenagers would want to come and go into a stream people don't really want to go into arts,
Right.
where you are forced to read quite a lot.
Yes.
So that was my moment as to I will become an educator.
And from teaching at St. Roses High, you are now at School of the Nations.
Yes.
How many years you've been there?
It will be 19 years in September.
19.
Yes.
Wow, that is incredible. And how many years of that 19 was dedicated towards being the principal for nursery, primary, and the special education department.
9 years this September.
Wow. So I want to talk a bit about special education because that is something that is very important. It's gaining traction. Tell us a bit about that experience and what that means for you.
Special education is deeply personal to me. When I was small, I had my challenges when it came to speech.
Mm-hmm.
First, I had a speech delay, and then I had a speech impediment. So for me to communicate, it was very stressful.
Okay.
Particularly if I was put in front of the class.
Mm-hmm.
I would be the child who is taking her hand and knocking into the side of her feet, trembling as words are falling all over each other. Mm-hmm. And what you're hearing is not English, unless you were living in my home and you understood what I was saying. And during the 1980s, for you to be in school with that challenge, the playground was not always the nicest of places. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even adults became frustrated and would say things that were not really complimentary. Thankfully, I was able to go to Canada for a while, enroll in speech therapy, and I came back being able to speak fluently. One teacher asked my mom in primary, "What did you do with her? She doesn't stop talking."
Wow.
Because in school, it was so different now because people were actually listening and they weren't laughing at me anymore. At home, I was never treated as if I was different. So in my little mind, I'm fine, I'm normal. But when I stepped out of the safety of home into the environment of school, quickly I realized something was different about me from everyone else. And it was very pressuring. My family's support, they helped me in terms of confidence. And when you are dealing with children with special education, it is very challenging. It's challenging for the child who has to face it, as well as for the family who also are enduring it. And in the case of the family members, they strive to protect their children from the unkind words and facial expressions that we, the public, give those children. And sometimes in their fierce protective nature, in putting up the barriers, they make it harder now for the child. And then we have more explosions.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. But I'm happy that special education is changing. Mm-hmm. I am happy that the government is investing in special education, not just schools, but also training teachers, training specialists. The diagnostic center that is headed by Dr. Keon Chung, he is doing an amazing job in giving complete analysis for children. And what that does is it gives you a report that not only chronicles where the child is in terms of their cognitive skills, but it looks at health, it looks at skills, and it sets targets for you.
And you know, sometimes we may take for granted that there's some people who know, or most of the country, they know that there's actually a center in this country that provides that type of help. There are many parents who have children who are on the autistic scale, but they don't know which part of the spectrum they fall on. But there is help available in this country.
Help available, and you have more special education schools now being open. Mm-hmm. And the nature of the schools from the construction itself speaks to inclusion. Mm-hmm. You know, if we go back 10 years, just saying the word David Rose, a certain perception came over people. Saying Ptolemy Reed,
correct.
Again, a negative perception came over people. Mm-hmm. And there's some who refuse to take their children there because they were afraid of the stigma. And in doing that, the vital years where essential assistance could have been given to take the child further along was lost. So while the government is doing their part, we, the citizens of Guyana, we need to change our mindset in relation to how we see the children. And particularly in school, it's sad when parents say, "I don't want my child in the class with him or
Yes.
with that child. You know, I would normally ask parents, put yourself in the shoe of that parent. Would you want that being said about your child?
Yes.
You know, but gradually we are getting there. There are many success stories with children who have special needs, who would have become functioning adults.
Is there one you can share with us?
There is one who's very close to my heart. Young Master Darren Hall is autistic, came through the school from nursery all the way up, and he's thriving at the University of Guyana in his second year. You know, he's serving on the board of the Rotaract Club. He was president of Interact Club, vice president of Rotaract. And while he proudly tells people he's special needs, he says he's not defined by that. So he is a living testimony that having a challenge does not put you in a box. We place ourselves there sometimes, and sometimes society helps. But we're breaking that barrier.
Now, are there, and you noted that, and just to remind the public and our audience too, you noted that you have been in charge of the special education department for 9 years, and so I know that there must be a few strategies that you have marked down over the years to say that yes, this has been effective in working with autistic children, for example. Is there any one strategy that you can share for parents of autistic children?
Breathe. That's my one strategy for everything. And the importance of breathing is sometimes as adults, we go immediately to the worst case scenario. And when we go there, particularly as parents, we get into panic mode or we get into defensive mode where we seek to protect. And that is our right, to protect our children. But sometimes we have to take a moment and step back and take a breath. Our children are stronger than we think they are. And when we take that breath, we can actually appreciate, the progress our children would have made. And in seeing that, now you have something else to celebrate with that child, that they are no longer at point A, they are now at point B. And then you can start to look and see, what else is this child doing? Because sometimes we are so focused on what the child is not doing or the skills the child has not achieved so far, that we're missing the milestones that they did. And once we breathe and we celebrate the small steps, we will see a difference in our child. Because immediately now the child's confidence increases because you are looking at that child with different eyes.
Indeed.
With different eyes. So every child wants to make their parents proud. And our eyes tells our children immediately if we're happy and if we are upset. And
or
if they
disappointed in them.
correct.
Yes.
And when they see more happiness from us and us being proud in them, then that gives them self-confidence.
Instead of the frustration,
like
disappointment.
I'm trying and they go further that way. So for me, breathing and celebrating the small milestones, take it one day at a time. Do not be overwhelmed.
Ms. White, I saw some of your published work, and I want to just reference one where you spoke about the reflections on Guyana's primary education, and this was in 2018. I want you to share some of the perspectives that underpin that piece of work and how it compares to what you see today.
So one of the things from that piece was the absence of resources for both teachers and pupils, particularly at my primary level back in the 1980s. Textbooks was scarce in Guyana. You know, Austin Store, my gosh.
Yes, it's still around.
It is still around, but where it is, I don't know if everyone will know where they started on Camp Street. You know, in that little space. And most times your textbooks had to come from Barbados or Trinidad. And you would have been the only person in the class having access to the textbooks, and teachers would have been borrowing that book to teach. So obviously that immediately would have had a tremendous impact on access for children. And then you saw that move from not having textbooks, basic resource, to having textbooks in high school. Not all, but you had the essentials on that loan system. And now come to today's society where every child from nursery to high school has access to textbooks. In the case of nursery, they work in those books. So it's not returned, it goes with them. In primary, it's loaned. And at the end of the school year, you return it. So looking at primary, not only do we have more trained teachers, not only do we have access to resources for children, you also have the Guyana Learning Channel. So there are more avenues for review for children to go further if they want to, and most importantly, for parents to support their children at home.
Understand. Now, before I engage you on the reason for transitioning into politics, in education, one of the things we see as a blessing and now emerging as maybe a problem is the advent of AI, and the sort of addiction some children may have to screen time. What advice would you impart to parents to help children stimulate that love for reading while still getting in on some of that screen time that they love?
It comes down to a balance. We're all very busy people. I am very busy. One of the things that I did with the older of my children, and the little one, she gets it too, but she demands it more now, is story time. Reading is essential to whatever you're going to do in this life. And with my first son, every night I used to read him a story. And it started, I read the entire story, and then obviously he's going to memorize and he's going to pretend he's reading to me. And we went to one page and, alternate. With my little one, I read with her, she reads to me, and we also create stories. So the love for language can come from reading, and it can also come from creating your own storybooks, especially in the evenings when we open the windows and if there's a blackout and we have the moonlight inside. I remember one such evening, she wanted a story and I was really tired. So I said, okay, let's make one. And I started off by telling her it was a cool, breezy evening. And I stopped. And she continued. And I said something else. And the sentence that struck me was when she said, and the moonlight danced into the bedroom. And I think I saw butterflies, and right there, the whole love of language, and more importantly, the visualization in her mind's eye of that book that she's now writing came alive. And the fun part of it is I fall asleep sometimes in the story. And I would say something that made absolutely no sense. And she goes, "You're sleeping." And then I go, "No, I was testing to see if you were listening to what I was saying."
Oh, you had a good comeback.
Quickly, you can't let these children outsmart you. But we have to make reading creative. We can't tell the child, "Oh, go and get a book." The book is not punishment. Once we say, "Go pick up the book," it becomes punishment.
Yes.
So fun ways to get that child in, and you structure their screen time. We cannot put our head in the sand and say we do not want our children to have access to the technology, because this is a generation for them. This is the technological generation.
It's the era we're in.
Correct. What we have to do is teach them how to use the technology responsibly. Put on the parental controls, and also give time periods when, okay, this is what we're going to do. Children expect structure from parents. They may not always like it, but they expect it.
It's necessary.
And when we provide structure from an early age, it helps them in so many ways as they progress through life. Because immediately now they begin to manage themselves. And they will choose, okay, so I have 1 hour of screen time for today. Will I take all in the morning, or will I do half an hour now and I'll take half an hour in the afternoon? Will I take it in blocks of 15 minutes? We have to see how they can manage. But we can only do that if we create the structure for them and not always dictate, but help them to navigate, because they will not always be with us and they have to be able to navigate.
talking about navigating, what navigated such a calm spirit as yours into the rough and tumble world of politics?
You know, I blame my grandfather.
Oh,
I completely blame him because he planted that seed in me many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a household where my grandfather was always a very strong supporter of the PPP.
Okay.
And my grandmother was the polar opposite, a
Ah.
strong supporter of the PNC.
Uh-huh.
But our household was never a political camp or a division.
Mm-hmm.
They never spoke politics, but they had their camps.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather started to talk to me about politics as I became a teenager, but he didn't do it through, the PPP is or the PNC is.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke politics through people and teaching me about the importance of me sticking with my words and your actions and principles that if you will ever get into politics or anything you're going to do in life, that are really important. Listening to people and solving problems and meeting timelines and really being responsible for your words and owning up when you do things that are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
When he got older and he was on his way to transition and we were gaffing afternoon, he said to me, when you get older, the country will call you. And when you get that call, the only party that's going to really allow you to make a difference is the PPP. So I looked at him because I am thinking not foreign affairs. I said, like, this man and dead boy talking nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, Pop. And that was just for me to satisfy him.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought about it again. And one morning, I don't want to say, a few years ago, I woke up different, And I told a friend of mine that I'm going to get into politics when I'm in my 40s. And she laughed. She said, you're always talking something silly. But I just felt different. I felt that it was a time for me to do more because I've always been of service to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my country. I love my country with a passion that I don't see a lot of people having anymore. They don't have it anymore. I would have refused opportunities to go and live and study abroad because I refuse to develop another country when I can stay and develop my own. So I think this is the time when I can be of greater service for my country, for the people of my country, and hence the leap. For me, it's nothing else but service for the people.
Now, several parties have put forward their manifestos.
Yes.
And of course, a key pillar is what you will do for the education sector.
Yes.
How, and I want to speak specifically to these two particular parties, how do you see the APNU's plans stacking up against the PPP's plans for transforming the education sector?
I'm actually very happy with their plans, with APNU's plans for education, because they're following the path that the PPP has already started.
Ah.
When you look at the manifesto for the PPP for 2025 and you look at the manifesto from 2020, most of the things that APNU is bringing in their manifesto is already in progress right now in Guyana. In 3.5 years, the ministry will have built 157 schools, of which 6 to 7 are primary schools. We have almost the highest rate of trained teachers. On the coast, we have 98% of our teachers are trained. In the hinterlands, it's at 86%. So access to education, it's easier now because there are more schools, particularly in the hinterland region. And that's the part where I am so excited about, because typically when we think of Guyana, everyone thinks of Georgetown. And when you go beyond Georgetown, you think of the coast. But that's a very minor aspect as to Guyana.
Right.
So the attention that is being placed to education, and not only education, but everything in the hinterland regions, speaks about the equality in the education sector that the PPP government is bringing. And you see them doing that now. in terms of the schools, the trainings, and resources that are available. So regardless of where you are in Guyana, in this time, you have access to the same quality of education. You have access to the same materials. And the Guyana Digital School is making it even more exciting because that platform gives you 4 avenues. The first avenue is you would like to have a structured interactive class. It's there for you. I can't make 7 o'clock in the evening to do math. So I take option 2, self-paced. I can do it at 2 in the morning. The house is quiet. That's when I work. You know, you have resources, you have the assessments. I want to go further in this subject. It is there for you. So the program that the PPP has planned is designed to take Guyana forward more than 10 years. And education is critical to everything that we want for our economy because we're speaking to the youth. And it's not just primary and secondary. It goes all the way down to nursery. Very, very important. The changes to the nursery curriculum will have children reading faster. Mm-hmm. It will have them with the skills that they need to be successful in primary. And we have to include AI in this equation because the world that they are going into is the AI world. Mm-hmm. So it is an exciting program, and I'm very happy to see that they're acknowledging the work that is already in process.
Ms. White, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, sharing your story with us, and to also giving us that insight into the work that's being done to make this society a bit more inclusive and to remove that stigma from special education. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your perspectives on that.
Thank you again for having me. It was my pleasure.
To our audience, thank you as well for joining us. Be sure to follow us next week, same time, same place, as we bring you more insights from the movers and shakers of our political landscape. Take care.
Thanks for watching Starting Point. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for critical updates and exclusive content.